Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Ysera is the new Cenarion leader mini in Warcraft Rumble, and in this video I'm going to talk about Ysera. So what Ysera is, what are Ysera's abilities, and also what are the best talents for Ysera. So let's take a look. First of all, Ysera as a leader, Ysera is not playable as such. You won't actually play Ysera on the board at any time. Instead of Ysera, you're going to get a set of 4 minis into your deck, but they're only going to take one slot. So that one slot, which is all those Ysera minis, is going to alternate between the minis and always in the same order. So the first time you get it, it's going to be an Innervate. Once you play Innervate, then at the bottom of your deck, it's going to go the same mini as Emerald Whelps. Once you get Whelps, once you play Whelps, then to the bottom of your deck, there's going to be a Hibernate. And once you play Hibernate, then to the bottom of the deck goes an Emerald Drake. And then when you play Drake, then the bottom of the deck goes Innervate. So it cycles between those 4 minis and always in the same order. But what do the minis themselves do? Innervate is a cycle mini for increased income. You play Innervate and you pay 3 gold, and then you're going to get 4 gold over the next 10 seconds. So you're going to get 1 more gold than you invested in Innervate, so it's just something to quickly cycle through your deck and get a little bit of additional gold advantage. The Emerald Whelps are almost a copy of the Whelps from Whelps. They have the same health, they have the same damage, they have the same attack speed. There's couple of differences. First is that Emerald Whelps, when they attack, they also apply 1 stack of poison, so they have a little bit of more DPS actually than regular Whelps. Second is that Emerald Whelps are not unbound. You can't play them anywhere on the map, you have to play them in a deployment zone. And the third difference is that they are 1 gold cheaper. They only cost 2 gold instead of 3 gold that the Whelps cost. So overall, fairly strong, but of course losing that unbound does hurt quite a bit. Then there's Hibernate. Hibernate is a spell that gives you an 8-second 8 radius sleep effect. And sleep is basically a stun effect that stops if the target takes any damage. Hibernate does have quite a hefty level adjustment though at 0.9 seconds. So if you're 1 level lower than your enemy, then instead of 8 seconds it's only going to be 7.1 seconds. Or if you're higher, then instead of 8 it's going to be 8.9. So Hibernate both gains more power and loses power fairly quickly as the levels change. And finally there is the Emerald Drake, which is mostly a copy of Drake. It has the same health as Drake, it has the same damage as Drake. There's only 2 differences, and both of those are actually improvements over the Drake, because Emerald Drake is going to apply 3 stacks of poison per breath. The breath ticks 5 times overall, and on the 1st, 3rd and 5th tick it's going to apply a stack of poison. Emerald Drake is also 1 gold cheaper than Drake, so it's just a better Drake. It's just a fairly good bit better Drake. So these Ysera minis are actually quite powerful. And therefore, when looking at Ysera talents, I think the best talent for Ysera right now is the Recurring Dream. Ysera minis are twice as likely to show up in hand. What does it mean that they're twice as likely to show up in hand? It means that usually there is that one unit that's going to cycle between all the minis. Now when you pick this one, there's going to be 2. There's going to be a second unit in your deck, so your deck is 1 size bigger, and it's going to cycle through all of these minis as well, but in reverse order. So that second copy starts as a Drake, and then it becomes a Hibernate, then it becomes Whelps, and then it becomes an Innervate. You can have both of these in your hand at the same time. The original is marked with an A sign, like you can see here in the picture, and the talent one is not marked at all. Currently, the original one is based on the level of your Ysera, and the talent copy is based on the level of your core, of your base. So because Yseras tend to be pretty low levels right now, then that one tends to be higher at the moment. But of course, eventually that difference is going to be smaller. I'm also not sure if this is intended. Maybe they should all be based on the level of Ysera. But that's how it works right now, and that's why you can have Ysera minis at 2 different levels when you're using a Recurring Dream. Ysera doesn't have any completely useless talents, but Recurring Dream I think is clearly the best one, and then the other 2 are quite close, but for the second one I would pick Shared Dream. Hibernate applies to all enemies on the board, so that's a map-wide 8-second sleep effect. Although if you're really punching up, then Hibernate does lose power quite rapidly as it's lower level, so that's a bit of a problem with that. And another thing is that the original 8 radius is actually already quite big. For example, here's an illustration where in the cairn fight, you know how those trolls are unkillable in the cairn fight? Well, you can put them to sleep with Hibernate. And the original Hibernate with 8 radius is large enough to put both of those trolls to sleep at the same time. So do you really need it to be map wide? Maybe there are some uses where you want to have both stuff on the offensive side and on the defensive side, both sleeping, and that might do something. But overall, the original Hibernate is already pretty good at what it does, and if you use Recurring Dream, then you can have 2 of those instead of 1 of these. So I'm a little bit uncertain about this, although I can see that this has some potential applications. And the third Ysera talent, the one that I think is weakest, even though this is also not useless, is the Corrupted Dream. Emerald Whelps and Emerald Drakes apply twice as much poison. So Whelps will apply 2 stacks per attack, and Drake will apply 6 stacks per attack. And because their attack speed is a little bit slower than Harpies for the Whelps, for example, that means that with the double stacks, they are going to stack poison a little bit faster than Harpies do. And that sounds really good. However, the minis are quite slow, and their range is not that high, and they're not unbound, so getting these to the boss is not that simple of a task. And when you're on the defense, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, you can kill a Molten Giant 1 second faster, for example. I was trying to do some things with this, so I was testing that. And when you're on the defense, that double poison doesn't actually do much. You need to be attacking a boss for that double poison to really kick in. And these are maybe not the minis that you're actually using to attack bosses that much. So that's why I think this is the weakest talent, although if I find a way to just get the Whelps and the Drake to attack a boss and distract it, then having this would actually be awesome. So that's why none of the Ysera talents are useless, but the double copies seems to be the strongest one. The global sleep has some potential applications, as does the Corrupted Dream, but I think the sleep is a little bit more universal than this one, so that's why this order for Ysera talents. Overall, really fun leader, and the minis are actually quite powerful, so they bring a little bit of that cycle into the game, and they bring a little bit of power, and I've had a blast playing with Ysera, and these talents also enhance the experience. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.